right, Kyven, Showtime Gatson here at Myriad MMA Academy in Ames, Iowa, with Mike, Biggie, Rhodes. History lesson real quick. If you can guess where we went to high school together.
Pause that. We're gonna start it.
Where you went, where we went to high school at, and the year that Mike graduated and the year that I graduated, we'll send you a Myriad MMA Academy t-shirt. All right, so we know each other from high school. My dad recruited him, or at least tried to recruit Mike to wrestle, and that didn't happen, but he played basketball. Were you all state?
No.
Was the team though? The team went to the state?
We made it to sub-state,
okay, sub-state,
and then we lost. Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, he decided in Cedar Rapids. No?
No.
Okay.
So from we went to school together. Damn, I gave it away.
Bro.
I gave it away.
Cut that part out.
We gave you one, but you got to know
you just got to do the clip. You just got to do the clip. Okay.
Yeah. Cut me out. Yeah. I went and transferred, and then I graduated from Columbus Catholic, actually another school. And then I continued to play basketball. I went to Ellsworth.
I forgot you
junior college in Iowa Falls. I played basketball there for 2 years. We were #1 in the nation both years that I was there. I didn't play very much, but I was there. And then after that, that's when I came back home, went to UNI, and that's when I started training martial arts, and that's how I found MMA.
Okay. And you've been on a trajectory. You've been to a few different places around the Midwest. You've trained overseas. You've trained on both coasts. When you think about like your MMA journey, what places were the most influential in those time spans? I'm sure that they all had different parts. You know, like where you started is a big part, but like what places stick out to you the most?
Obviously, starting in Waterloo or starting in Iowa in general. You know, I did play basketball, but I come from a family of wrestlers, so I wrestled my entire life. And I mean, I still would go and wrestle in the wrestling room from time to time. I just chose basketball. Even at Ellsworth, I went and wrestled with the wrestling team my second year there. I would go to Wartburg and wrestle with those guys as well. So I wrestled a lot, and so I think that gets lost in the fact that I was a basketball player. But obviously, I went and trained in Milwaukee. That was the first place I went to go and visit. And then after visiting there, I knew that was where I needed to be to make that jump. And if I was going to take fighting serious, that's where I needed to be. So that's where I started to get better at everything. That's where I became a true martial artist. I took trips out to Team Alpha Male. I had friends out there. I trained out there for a while. What I took away from Team Alpha Male is just that grit, that nastiness. They're all wrestlers, so they all push a pace. I learned what strength and conditioning meant to being a fighter. Before that, I didn't really do it. I just thought technique was going to win, and I found out that like you need to be in shape, you need to be able to push a pace. I didn't train down in Florida until later in my career, and then I just really learned that at that point it was like being smart when you train and being smart when you fight. Like, don't kick with a kickboxer, don't punch with a boxer, don't wrestle with a wrestler. Like they opened my eyes because I had so many training partners from so many different walks of life that if you went out there and tried to do certain things, you would kind of fall into a trap and lose a lot of sparring rounds. But I'd say Milwaukee, long-winded answer was the best. I mean, I had Anthony Pettis, Eric Koch, Ben Askren, Pascal Kraus, Big Ben Rothwell, Bilal Muhammad, Tyron Woodley, Sage Northcutt, and I'm probably just forgetting Gerald Mershart, one of my best friends, training partners, JP St. Louis, another one of my favorite training partners, roommates, best friends, Dustin Ortiz, a little 125er. So like, I had people from literally all over the world come and train with us. So that's where I feel like I got the best.
Yeah. So when you think about like your own career, your growth, your fight IQ, those different things, how has that developed since you stopped fighting? Like your last fight, 2019, 2018? Like Cage,
2019,
TFFC?
Yep, right
it was
before
a title,
COVID.
right? It was a title. You won that title.
Yep.
So not many people go out or stop on a win. But like when you think about your fight IQ and those different things, what's happened since that time? 6 years ago, 2019, you win, you go out on a title, decide that, you know what, I'm gonna start a different chapter or phase of my life. How has your fighting IQ thing shifted since then?
So I think fighting IQ gets lost, or like your mental capacity, like how smart you are, gets lost in fighting. People just put us in a box and think we're all just Neanderthals and just meatheads that like to go fight, but the majority of us probably all have like college degrees and high level education. So I took that approach to fighting. I mean, I was a mean kid, and I was a mean person when I started fighting, but you lose that. You know, I think the saying is something like, it's hard to wake up and go around when you're sleeping in silk sheets.
Yeah.
Like once you've made some money and you're not mad, you just don't wake up mad anymore, it's hard to fight like that. Like you have to be smart, you have to use your fight IQ, and you have to be technical. So I took that approach early on. I'm barely 6.5 feet tall. I fought at 170, 185, 205 heavyweight. So like I've had different advantages and disadvantages when I fought at different weight classes, but my technique is what made me be able to win those fights, right? That evens the playing field regardless of weight and shape and all that stuff. So that was the approach that I took, was to get really good at everything and be very well rounded. I didn't know my last fight was gonna be my last fight. Okay. I was on a 4-fight winning streak, won the CFFC title. I thought that I was gonna be my shot back to the UFC. COVID hits, shut down the world. I just didn't have an opportunity to fight again. And just like fighting fell into my lap on an accident, firefighting fell into my lap as an accident. And I used that same mentality, that same focus, that same IQ for firefighting. I want to be so smart, so technical, so understanding of what can happen, that before it happens, I'm able to get ahead of it. And that's the same approach I took to fighting. Right now, I think that mindset has transitioned into a coach, is helping other people find that technique, or find what skill set is going to be best for them and allow them to be the best version of themselves. And I'm just kind of getting back into that. The fight game, it is the same for the most part. I feel like people haven't really advanced too much. You see a lot of calf kicks and things of that nature, but the fights pretty much are the same. So I feel like I have the knowledge to pass along to people to still have them be successful.
Yeah. Would you ever consider having another fight, or is that just you're at peace with it? You're good. You're only 35, right? You've seen champs come in all those age ranges from 32 to 40 at the heavier weight classes. Where are you at in that journey? Are you fully at peace with it, or is it something that twinkles every once in a while and you're like, I'm good?
I'll never fight again. And that's hard to say, because I know, like, deep down in my heart, like, I know I could. And I think that's the worst part, is like knowing that I have something left and I wasn't done and it kind of got stolen from me. But what I said still rings true. I'm not mean anymore. Like, I can be, right? But I used to like to hurt people, and that sounds weird to say, right? That's very weird to say. Now I'm
sounds normal,
right? In this world, now I try to save people, right? My job now is to try and heal people. So how can I? It'd be very hard to flip that switch and be mean and dangerous again. Like, I don't feel like I could be that fully. And then also, like, I have a career now that is my livelihood. When I was fighting, it was the only thing that I had. I didn't have no other job, no other prospects. It was a hard life. You know what I mean? No, living through Milwaukee summers with no electricity because I wanted to be a fighter. I can never go back to that now. Right. Like, now that I've tasted, good food, good steak, like, I need a real job to pay for those things. That's what I'm saying, right? So as much as I would like to fight and like prove to myself that I still have it, I've done it multiple times in my career, humbled myself to come back and fight on local shows and smaller organizations. But when you fight in the UFC, when you fight in those big shows, when you fight former champions, like, everything else in your life has the volume like turned down. So it's very hard to like get myself up to fight on a local show. Like, it would have to be like the perfect storm. But along with that is injuries, and I don't have the time to be away from my job. So, the sayings, another saying, at some point it's time to put away childish things and do what a man's got to do, and that's where I'm at in life.
Got you. So with that, you're talking to someone who's accomplished certain things in a different realm of combat sports, in the wrestling realm. 33 years old, has his first pro debut MMA fight coming up in less than 24 days now. What would your advice be for me on this journey? Being 33, I have a kid, I have a full-time job as a fundraiser. Like, what would your advice be for me on this journey?
I think the biggest advice, and it's something that you've already been accustomed to doing, you don't get to the level of wrestling and have the success that you've had without knowing how to work hard, right? And without knowing how to work smart. I think at this point now, it's not about beating the body up, it's about building the mind up. And with having other responsibilities, taking care of your daughter and your other jobs and responsibilities, is when you're training, it needs to be focused. Like, if it's an hour of focused training. It's not 25 minutes of messing about and then trying to dial in. Like, if I got an hour, it needs to be an hour of focus. If I have 2 hours, it needs to be 2 hours of focus. My biggest thing I would try to impede on you is to do the extras when you have downtime, but also mentally train just as much as physically. Every day doesn't have to be a Rocky movie. I can come get light rounds of technique and get more out of it than if I just came in to get a sweat. I can get a sweat by doing things that don't beat my body up. When I'm getting rounds in, I need to get certain rounds. Don't do 10 rounds just to do 10 rounds. Do 3 rounds if that's all my focus can handle. And then at the end of the day, you know how to compete. So when you get in there, just compete. It might be a different martial arts, a different combat sport, but at the end of the day, it's all competition. And there's a lot of people who are very skilled that can't compete.
When you think about, like, we're sitting here at Myriad, we're sitting in the cage that we got from Valley Flow Striking, Yair Rodriguez, Bilal Muhammad, yourself, Gerald Mershart, Julia Pena. All these people have moved around in this cage, worked in this cage. Before it was VFS's, it was at Jackson Wink down in New Mexico. So you have to think that, John Jones is under this cage. Maybe it's not the exact cage, but you, like, people of status, of UFC folklore, of MMA, Mount Rushmore's potentially have been in this cage and have moved around in this cage. What do you think has to happen here in Ames for us to build something of those heights?
Yeah, and I'll just give a shout out to one more of those guys, Juan Bahamundes, aka Nacho. That guy, if there's a little bit of greatness in here, that's one of the guys that sprinkled a little bit in here. Shout out to him. But just cultivate an attitude of just that gratitude that comes along with having the ability to do it, right? Treating the martial arts with the respect that they deserve, and you'll get a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life that might have something to give to the gym. Be a place of no ego, right? Yes, you have a credential wrestling thing, but there might be someone that wrestles really well in MMA that's different than wrestling, for folk style or freestyle or any type of wrestling like that. And being a small city in an even smaller state, we have to pull our resources and team up and use all the ability of the people we have around us. So I think just being an inviting place, inviting people to come and train, and treating people well, you'll get a lot out of people, and you can give to a lot of people. And I think that's what you need to have success in a place like Ames, Iowa, where it's not a turncoat, turn and burn society like bigger states.
Right. Well, we appreciate you coming in. Thank you for hosting class today, and just the lessons you gave us from an MMA standpoint, but also just from a growth and evolution standpoint. One of my favorite quotes is, "If you don't let go of the ego, you can't build." See that wordplay? I like that. All right, appreciate you, Mike. Blame Biggie.